Good morning, Connor Prairians, or good evening, or good afternoon, or whatever it is when you happen to be watching this. This video is the second in a series of making components for a chain reaction machine, much like the one that we have at Connor Prairie. This is the one that I made on the Connor Prairie chain reaction table. And for the purposes of this video, we are first of all recreating that in our house, and then we're going to add to it, so that this thing becomes pretty elaborate, pretty fun, and pretty cool. So if you haven't watched that first video yet where we constructed the ramp together, go back and do that now, because this video is going to focus on the swinging pendulum and raising the flag at the end of our example. My name is Kevin Kunz, and I'm the manager of exhibit productions at Connor Prairie, which means part of my job is to make things. So let's go do that. Here is our working model, and you can see that the softball rolls down the ramp and hits the books, knocking the books into the wood that releases the pendulum, swinging into the softball that then hits the gate to release the flag to raise it at the end. Really, once you get all the pieces together, construction of the pendulum is not that hard. It was actually, for me, coming up with a way to get a swinging weight. I thought about actually using a hammer like we did in the original video, but I really wanted to be able to make this from things that people could find around their homes. So after thinking through this a lot, this is what I came up with. If you look at this, we have a supporting arm. Now, yours is not going to be exactly like mine because these are things I found around the house. Hopefully you'll be able to find something in your house that is really strong and that you can attach to a nice base. This happens to be a fruit holder that worked perfectly. We also have our pivot point up here. This is the point at which the pendulum swings back and forth. And this pendulum point here is no more than an old coat hanger that I took and curled into a loop and fit it right over the fruit hanger. One of the mistakes I made early on in the prototyping process was, instead of something really strong like this, I just used a piece of string, which is fine for when it's just hanging here. But when you go to support the weight right back here with a piece of wood, it doesn't work so well. It doesn't balance up there. So you definitely need that good strong arm. And then at the bottom of the pendulum, the actual swinging part, we have the weight down here, or the bob, that swings back and forth. And you can hear that I have, this is just an old almond can that I've put some change in. I used change because I needed to adjust the weight. Here's a little bit of the construction of it. You can see that I've taken the wire hanger and actually run it through the almond can and to the bottom. The wire hanger comes all the way over here to the edge, so I bent it in the shape of an L, put a little hole in the bottom of the almond can, asked for help to do that, and ran that wire hanger all the way over here to the edge for some support on the bottom, and then taped it quite a bit there on the bottom so that it wouldn't come apart. You can see that I added a really strong base down here. I did that after I'd tried it a few times, and the support for this pendulum itself was moving all over the place. So I decided I had to add a really strong base. Now the only thing left to make for this pendulum piece is the piece that's going to hold up the weight while it's waiting for the books to fall and release it. This may take a little bit of help because you definitely want a strong piece of something. Luckily I had some old wood in the garage that I was able to cut, and I raised the weight up to the size I wanted. I marked the wood, and I actually did make a little bit of a notch so that the round almond can would rest right on there. So that takes care of the pendulum construction. Let's move on to the piece that raises the flag at the end here. First, let's take another look at the flag as it raises at the end of this video of the chain reaction machine that we've made so far. And here's the flag mechanism up close. I had to make a couple of adjustments, and I'll go into that in just a few minutes. But here's the way it works. We've got this gate here holding the flag down, and on the other end of the flag is a counterweight. And once the softball opens that gate or hits this part right here, it will release the flag and raise it up. So imagine the softball coming in, and it raises the flag. First, let's talk about the parts we're going to need for this. Obviously, we're going to need a flag, and this flag is just made up of a plastic coat hanger, again cut up, with a little piece of duct tape up there at the top. And then there's a counterweight on the other end. So the flag starts like this, and when that gate is released, that counterweight drops down, allowing the flag to go up. I used clay or Play-Doh for the counterweight, but I found a problem with that as I worked through this. You see, as the clay dried, the moisture made it lighter, and by the time it was completely dry, it was actually lighter than the flag, and it wouldn't go down at all. So I had to actually add more clay. I just took 2 old containers, and this was the easiest way to make this pivot point in the middle. This is just, again, a wire hanger taken apart with tape on each side and a hole drilled through the flag. So I drilled a hole through the flag. You can also see that the hole is not exactly drilled in the center, because if it was drilled in the center, the counterweight would have hit the ground. I could have made a shorter flag, but I just decided to offset that center hole. And then I just used a couple pieces of tape, taped that right to the top, and flag drops nicely. Now, another really important piece of this is the gate that's going to hold the flag down while it's waiting for that ball to open the gate. And the gate was pretty simple to construct. Again, I had to add a little bit of weight after the initial clay dried. So I had to add weight here. Otherwise, the flag kept pushing it open. I added weight, and I also added a really solid wide base so that the gate was heavy enough to hold the flag down. And you can see, again, just put a hole in another hanger that I took apart, and this is part of the wire hanger that I drilled down into a piece of wood and weighted it down. Now, when I bring that flag down and fold that back, it's actually holding the flag in place. And with very little force from the softball as it rolls, we can lift that flag. Now, the only thing I don't really like about this is that when the flag is raised, it goes back and forth like that. And there's a really simple solution for that. Right down here where our counterweight is, we just need to put something between those 2 containers so that it stops that flag from going back and forth. So if you've been following along, now we've done the construction of the slope in the beginning, we've done the construction of the pendulum, and we've done the construction at the flag at the end. So the next time we do this, we're going to start adding to the front and the back of this chain reaction machine, and that's where we get creative. And that's where your chain reaction machine and my chain reaction machine are going to start getting different, because I don't want you to follow me. I want you to start thinking about what you want to add and how you want to make your chain reaction machine your own and very cool. That's all for today. Go ahead and construct that pendulum and the flag raising so that we can have this ready for the next time we try this. Thanks. Have a good day.